Hi, my name is Ava Barnes. I'm a GA Youth representative from County Sligo, and welcome to GA Youth Beyond the Pitch, a series that has been designed and produced by the GA Youth Rep, which addresses topics of interest by young people across the GA, LGFA, and Camogie associations. Today, we're delighted to be joined by our three guests. Our first guest is Podge Collins. Podge made his senior debut in the 2012 Championship and has since gone on to play a key role for Clare. In 2013, he secured his first All-Ireland title with the Clare hurlers, defeating Cork, and rounded off the season by collecting his first All-Star award, while also claiming a nominee for Hurler of the Year. In 2014, alongside his brother Sean, he joined the Clare senior football panel, managed by his father Colin, and even represented both codes between 2014 and 16. Podge is also a dual senior championship medalist with his club side Cratloe. Our second guest is Cormac Reape. The Knockmore County Mayo native is a former Mayo minor and junior footballer, developing a fine reputation for himself as a referee. Some of his most notable appearances include being appointed as referee for the Mayo Minor Football Championship B final in 2019 at the Connacht GA Centre of Excellence, and he was also the man in the middle for the Mayo Junior Football Championship final in 2020. He's also involved with coaching the Mayo senior ladies. And our third guest is Cueva Sloan. Cueva is the Trailblazer joint manager of the Down women's football team, and she's already making waves across the LGFA community. Secondary school teacher may have been catapulted into the coaching world much earlier than she anticipated, but she's reaching heights and standards most would consider unimaginable. One of her most notable managerial successes came in 2016, where she led alongside Peter Lynch, Shane O'Neill's to the brink of All-Ireland glory. And our guests are on today to discuss their volunteering experiences within the GPA. So you're very welcome, all three guests.
Thanks, Ava.
Cheers.
So Cormac, we'll start with you. What inspired you to swap your gum shield for a whistle?
It's kind of a question, I suppose. At 23 years old, you don't see many referees around. It kind of started about 2 or 3 years ago, where I was suffering an awful lot of injuries, and kind of nearly every injury I had was a trauma kind of injury, and it was long term. And just by accident, I was out with I was just coming back from surgery on my ankle, and I started doing a bit of refereeing, and it was kind of good for rehab. I wasn't stressing myself too much running games, and just kind of it grew from there. Kind of was getting good feedback and that kind of stuff, and kind of seeing a small bit of a gap. I would have had people talking to me saying, if you want to push this on, you could go places with it, and kind of just felt from there. Loved it, being involved in games and that kind of way. And I suppose to playing it, some people might not believe it because of the reputation maybe that there is out there about refereeing, but it is actually one of the next best things. So I can't really complain about the choice I made over it.
And Cueva, you swapped from being a player to a manager. You always had a passion for coaching.
Yeah, I suppose I did. I suppose I had a passion for it before I knew what having a passion for it was. I just knew, I followed my father and grandfather. I think I was about 4 when they took the under-12s, and they took them through the minors, and this was a boys' team, and they were the managers. I would have liked to think I was next in command. So I never realised that I was, the conversations on the way home, talking about what went well, what went wrong, and what do we need to do the next day, was something that I was getting like a coach education, and before I knew where that was as well. And I never made the conscious decision, right, I want to stop playing. I always thought I'll continue to. I just came home from being over in England for a few years, and I said, I'd love to get back involved and love to get back playing. And things kind of snowballed, as they do in Gaelic football, and all of a sudden I found myself helping out with Shane's, and then coaching with Peter Lynch, and then we had kind of great successes then with that on the back of a lot of work that Peter had done. So it just snowballed. It's one of them things where you don't really mean to, and then next thing you're in the thick of it, and that's kind of where Downs come about as well.
And Podge, you've obviously benefited like so many other players from the likes of managers, coaches, referees, and lots of different people who volunteer across the association. What impact have these people had on you?
Yeah, listen, from a young age, coaches probably play a massive part in your life. referees, I don't think, not so much. It's a bit harder, I suppose. You don't get the kind of one-on-one time or coaching or mentoring. You probably should. You probably have better understanding of the rules and how they view the games. But mainly coaches from, let's say, under 12. We were looking at our club. My dad was the football manager, and Joe McGrath was the hurling manager, who'd be Conor McGrath's father. And they took us from 12s nearly to senior. And just like always had good coaches. The same in school. Alan Cunningham, who's now with the Limerick seniors. He's involved with them. You'd see him on the line. We had him in school, and Clare, with excellent coaches between Donal Maloney and Jerry O'Connor and Paul Kinnerk, underage. So I've always had good coaching, and they kind of shape you as a person and a player.
And you mentioned you played alongside your brother and managed by your father. You obviously come from a very strong GA rooted family. Do you believe that the GA, the ethos of it, fosters a sense of community and giving back?
Yeah, it does. Like in our club, Cratloe, GA is huge, and I grew up in the Peershig for the first 8 years of my life, and GA is huge there as well. So it is like great for a young person going out to the local field, and you immediately have a group of 30 friends, to kind of start off. You don't get that in too many organisations, but it's great. Groups, team sports are super for a community and like for kids and adults alike to have that kind of, and it's real charge to it apart from your membership, which is also great because a lot of activities require like a lot of investment and funding. So no, it's yeah, definitely playing with my brothers and my father being involved. It was kind of, when we were young, it was always hurling a football on the TV, going to games from the age of like 3 and 4. So it's kind of inevitable that we'd all be kind of playing it in some shape or form.
And Cueva, Podge mentioned the impact that coaches have had on him. What was the transition like for you, transitioning from the player to the coach?
I suppose I don't remember making the transition. I always was helping out, giving a hand, I suppose, with teams that, weren't mine, obviously the boys' teams that maybe Daddy took at our own local. And then, playing away myself and always just at the pool camps and at different things like that. So I don't ever remember saying, I'm making this transition. I always thought, and I still do, that I'm clinging on to playing a wee bit. But I do remember, being close to the girls in age and have been sort of making a decision, right? I'm either their mate or their coach. And that was kind of the biggest challenge, because it's the decision you have to make, because you can't go out and be somebody's best friend and then expect to get the best out of them. There is a difference while your friendships are there and your relationships are there. I suppose it's like teaching as well. You're friendly with your students, but you're not the best friend, and that's the biggest challenge, I suppose. But it just felt natural. It felt normal enough. I suppose I was just doing what people before me did and what are still doing, and I suppose it's normal enough just to follow in those footsteps, really.
And was there a big difference in the commitment levels between a player and a coach?
Okay, it's as Podge was saying, there's the team element, and I'm sure he's seen with his father coaching and him playing, and it was the same with us. And when I was able to play with the boys, and I did under my father, and then same as my sister. But I coached my sister at Shane's on Shane O'Neill's in Camla, and when we had a successful year, and I was, the physical prep that she had put in and the physical sort of the after it all, ours would have been well in advance. We'd be planning out our sessions and planning out, the kind of systems of play we wanted to implement and how we were going to do that. And that was, weeks in advance, and maybe spent full Saturdays or Sundays doing that when the girls were, maybe they just had an hour of a gym session to do or whatever. But then, there's a whole lot more in terms of food prep and things like that they have to do, that we don't. So it's a team, like it's what everybody has their own roles, and you just have to focus on yours, I suppose. So, I probably seen it from both sides in that aspect, but there's a lot more with every that people don't see. It's like everything. You probably didn't see everything that goes on behind, and you don't. But that's what you put in, get out at the end of it, I suppose.
And what's your favourite aspect of coaching?
At the minute, you kind of get a nervous excitement before you go to training that, there's going to be 30, 33 players waiting on top quality coaching. And, when we have our game plan or the style of play that we want to implement there, and, getting that step by step and then seeing it come together is brilliant. But all, it's kind of the relationships with the people that are there. It's that you look forward to, and there's not as much. I suppose for managers, myself and Peter always find that it's over to the players at that stage. We have minimal things to do in the day. We know who's coming in for who, if different scenarios happen, and we go through if everything that could possibly happen and who's coming in at what stage. But other than over to the players, so game day isn't too much, but definitely you would get more nervous maybe ahead of a training session and saying, right, what are we going to do here? We need to be on our game. And we've 33 players who start week in, week out for their club, and to start here at the weekend, and they're going to be given everything. So that's and that's class to see, going giving everything and trying to get the best out of everybody that you have and everybody that's turning up. So that's definitely something that we both enjoy, and we can't wait to get back to now at this stage.
And Cormac, what would your favourite aspect of refereeing be?
Well, the first thing I'd say this year, first of all, with COVID and everything going on and people not being able to get access to games, it was a huge advantage, because I was still going to games two, 3 times a week, and they were down to your club games, to your senior championship games. So from that aspect, it was very handy this year. When people unfortunately couldn't get to games, that you were still able to go and be part of them. One of the biggest things I would say is, you're involved in some of these great occasions, and I know you can't get caught up. You can't get caught up in the occasion, or as someone would always say, a player makes 2 or 3 mistakes in a game, 2 or 3 bad hand passes, but if a referee makes a mistake, it's there for everyone to see, that kind of way. But being part of them occasions, and even being on a pitch, like just to name a few, just even Mayo players, just to say, Killian O'Connor, Aidan O'Shea, Andy Moore, and the likes of these lads, to be within 5-10 yards, seeing these guys operate on the field, and their movement. You can only see so much from the stands and on the TV, but when you're up and close and next to these guys too, it's such a great advantage to have, and it's brilliant. Like, and even people don't always see, they always see the referee as an individual, but behind any referee, he has 5-6 umpires as well. There's a great team aspect to being a referee too, and even in your own county, like, you have your referees, administrators, your tutors, and then you have the whole refereeing community, and people don't see that either. Like, we'd meet up before rounds of championship games, have a chat through things, what's going well for lads, issues that are creeping up. Like, there is a big team ethos too in the referees, and people don't really see that too, and it's just like being part of your club team, being part of your county setup. Like, there's that whole team environment to fall back on, and yeah, so that's to name a few things there. Yeah.
And you said that, a lot of people don't get to see behind the scenes of referees. What's the commitment levels like with being a referee?
I can really only say from my point of view, because I've broke into the provincial panel this year, and want to try and take it on from there. So we would still train. I'm out running 3-4 times a week, whether that's continuous 5Ks or doing a lot of hit training, because in games you could be running as a referee you could be walking for a few seconds around with the way some teams set up, but then you're gone, you're legging it straight down the field. You see, even Mayo club football, it illustrates the way the senior team plays with so much pace. Like, so you have to be at the game, and there's nothing more that I know as a player where a referee is 30-40 yards behind the play, and you just can't referee properly like that. So to be fair to the players too, you have to be fit, you have to be on top of your game. So I would be out 2-3 times a week, definite with hard running sessions. I'm trying to home gym at the minute. It's great. It's back in the gym. This morning it's great to be back in the gym too, but referees have to be still in peak physical condition as well. Like, something we tried during the summer here in Mayo is, some of us used to clock kilometers we were running a game. So I know a lot of club players on average could be between 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 kilometers a game they'd be covering. I was clocking some of my kilometers per game, and I know some of the other lads were too, and we were still hitting 7, 8. There was one the junior championship final that I done 9.1k in the game. So people don't kind of realize that too, of how fit a referee has to be. So to be fair to the game and to be fair to the players, you have to be in that kind of condition. So
Very good. And Podge, you have represented both codes at inter-county level and are a dual player with your club side. Just like Cormac and Caoibhe, you obviously have a very hectic training schedule. Why do you feel it's important to take the time aside and give back?
In what sense? In like volunteering in the club, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like as in, because I suppose when you're an 8, 9, 10-year-old in your club, there's people coming down to the field of their giving their own time. They're not getting anything for it. So it's very important that that cycle continues. When you're a senior player with your club team, you're a player that the young kids will be going to watch. So it's important that you are on the field. Now, I probably don't do it as much as I should. There are some guys that are on the senior team in Gratlow that are absolutely excellent for it. They take a different team every year. Whereas I just do the odd kind of session. And like you kind of just see it throughout the community. You've people like volunteering, you're running a club shop. Like every week, like there's a girl down outside the shop with boxes of clothes that she sold online, like she's adjusting to COVID. The chairman's down painting the hall, and like people are coming in helping and stuff like that. So there is a great kind of volunteer organization around the GA club, and there is a great sense of community. I suppose I'm fortunate enough to be involved in it more so as a player for now while I'm playing. That's probably my priority. But it is important to try get down coaching and get involved in different sessions and stuff like that too.
And Caoibhe, you volunteer with your coaching at club level, and you've also done inter-county level. What are the most notable differences between the club and the county scene from a managerial perspective?
I suppose the stakes are a wee bit higher. You know, at county, although having said that, you know, when you're getting through the Ulster final and the All Ireland semi-final, All Ireland final at club level is as big as anything. And I suppose that kind of whet our appetite a little bit for the county thing. I suppose you're dealing with your 30 players, and you might have. We were lucky enough to have a couple of county players in the Shane O'Neill's team, and top county players at that. And then you would have 3 or 4 more maybe who should play in county, as I'm sure every club has, and then you have a couple who are just there, you know, because they love it, kind of thing. Whereas at county, you're playing kind of clubs, and the constant contact with club managers, club delegates, county board. There's just a bit more, you know. Instead of your small kind of community team, you know, you have the whole county, and there's always something to be doing. I'm kind of lucky in that I'm in with Peter, and that everything's halved. I don't know how these guys do it on their own, fair play to them, because it's, you know, there's some amount of stuff I never even see that goes on. And I kind of suppose we look at it that, you know, you're only in this for a short time. You could get the boot at any time. You know, we're hopeful we don't, but that's the reality of these things, and you kind of want to give to it for the short time that you might be there, and it means then that you quite literally are. You're given every minute that you have to spare to it, and it's like it, you know, it never feels like a burden. If it does, we always said we shouldn't be there, but you know, it's a privilege, and it's something that we look forward to. It's something that gets you going, and you know, the differences really are just kind of, there's more to it. There's more people. There's bigger than your small club team, but certainly some of the intense sessions that were going on in Camla, there's equally as intense, you know, going on in Castlewellan or in the middle of Down. So there's no difference in that perspective or the planning that we would put in. Just probably the amount of players that are there giving it all, and maybe more contact from, you know, the different media or whatever ahead of the game. Like, you know, there wouldn't be too many looking to know about a league game in Camla when we were there 2 years ago. There would be now that they've won Division 1 maybe, but you know, it's just a wee bit different then from a National League game with Down. But certainly sister's still playing with Shane's, and they're still giving everything. And if we ever had the privilege of returning there, it would be no different, I'm sure. Like.
And Cormac, you're also involved with coaching. You're involved with the Mayo senior ladies. Do you have a preference with playing, refereeing, or coaching if you had to choose?
Like I would love to be back playing properly, like my club. This year won the Mayo senior county title for the first time in, I think, since 1997, and just not being part of that was tough. But the lads, they just they had a great year. They have a great setup. I love the refereeing. Don't get me wrong, but probably coaching. This year, I was with the Mayo under-14s. That's how I started last year, and we managed to win a Connacht title actually after a penalty shootout, free kick shootout in the end, and just I was coming down from Dublin one day, and Peter Leahy from Westmeath, who's over the ladies, just rang me and said, would I be interested in coming in, and instantly just absolutely fell in love with coaching. Give me 7 nights a week, and I'd go out with any team at any level. It's just something about it. I don't know, is it used as an outlet for things too, but I just find going out in a pitch, wind, rain, wet, and you're seeing players improve, seeing top class athletes. Like, we have some of the best athletes in the country at ladies level, and going out working with them, and it's just I don't know, it's just something about the coach. It's kind of hard to put a finger on it, because like, I'm only 23 years old, and I'm involved with a senior intercounty ladies team too, and it's kind of strange, and you were talking about earlier with Cueva about the transition too, and even my own transition kind of into coaching at the minute. It doesn't really feel like one. Maybe come back to me in 10 years and I'll tell you how it felt, but probably the coaching for me is probably the preference.
And Podge, we heard there from Cormac about his club side with Knockmore. A great memory was the county final this year. What memory sticks out for you with your club side?
We've lost like 5 county finals in the last 6 years, so it's been quite tough. But I suppose getting to them is enjoyable. But in 2014, we were fortunate enough to win the double, the hurling and football at senior in Clare, and that was massive. But like, it's something that's kind of always kind of thrown at you in a club when you're playing both codes, that you're doing too much, you can't do both, and it's kind of constantly cropping its head. And even that year, when we won both in Clare and we lost the hurling Munster final after extra time and the semi-final of football after extra time, it was thrown at us again like that. Oh, you can't do both, even though like we won both in Clare, which is a great year, obviously. But that year sticks out in my mind and will forever. But 2009, when we won our first hurling, it was my first year on the panel, and I was only 17, and that was that I'll never forget that for the rest of my life either. So one of those 2 days with the club were my favourite anyway.
And Cueva, just even listening there to Podge and Cormac's favourite memories with their clubs, obviously there's so many volunteers involved with these memories. How would you encourage a young person to get involved in volunteering?
I suppose the biggest thing about GA and LGFA is that we get to go to something that we love, and we get to go to something that brings us such joy. And we've seen with COVID the amount of people that are trying to do things that brings them any form of joy, and yet we were privileged enough to be able to go out and continue with our training, and people were able to go to their football and that. And with us, it was you don't have to pay for this. All you have to pay is your membership fee, and we get this lifelong memories, friendships. And I would say it to anybody, we're so lucky. As the guys were saying there, like, we're so privileged to be able to be involved in this, to be able to work with some of the best athletes in Ireland, to see them then, last week on the TV and things like that. It's fantastic that we get to do this, and that's sitting waiting for you. That's sitting there, you can go and take people up on this. And as they were saying about memories that last a lifetime, like we all think back to some of the key things, and matches don't really, in particular stand out. Or the incidences of matches for me, or training sessions, is kind of, you look back and it could be the aftermath of it, the last few minutes of it, a particular goal in it. It's not a whole match you can look back and say, but yet these things you'll never ever forget, and we all have that, and that comes from starting off volunteering and giving up your time, and you never feel like you're giving up something, you feel like you're gaining something. And I know my father always used to say, never ever do this for a thank you, you're not going to get it, do of it. And that's the biggest thing about it. Like, to anybody that was thinking of getting involved, do it, because there's so much to be gained, and you'll get 100 times more than whatever you put in. I can't wait to get back into football in any capacity, be it club, county, or whatever, because of everything you're going to get and the people you're meeting and the friendships you've made. It's completely worth it, and you'll get back tenfold whatever you put in, really.
And Cormac, you've discussed your journey with refereeing from club to county level. What advice would you give someone who wants to get involved in refereeing?
I'd probably say to even just go back to young referees. Some people, for some people, playing it might not be everything for them, and some people might they might fall out of love with playing that kind of way, but still want to be involved with the GAA. I would say to anyone, like, refereeing, some people might have a bad rep and say referees get an awful lot of abuse and this kind of stuff. Not to use that word loosely, but it's kind of frustration more than abuse now, I would say. But refereeing is equally as good if you still want to give something back and be involved in the GAA. And don't be afraid. Even the GAA probably needs more young referees. Like, I talked to a lot of the lads involved with the senior team in Mayo. They young referees. I'm not saying, not giving off about any of the other guys or that kind of stuff, but young referees, they bring a freshness about it and that kind of way. And I always said, there's a quote from Bill Shankly I'll always stick in my mind kind of through my refereeing journey. He said about referees, they know the rules, but they don't know the game. And sometimes when a player, like, I'm only a year or two out of playing, the sly little things about, the forward has not holding on to defender's arms, that kind of stuff. You're able to spot these kind of things too, and that's kind of an advantage. But I wouldn't say to any young person, not to even think about it. Go to your development officer, to your county if you're not sure, and he'll put you onto a referees administrator. And there's courses every year for new referees, because I think every county is probably struggling to get new referees, and like it is rewarding too. And as Clive said, don't expect him to go in and to get loads of pats on the back. And again, it's just go to your referees administrator, your development officer, and learn from there. But I wouldn't deter anyone away. Like, if you want to still be involved in the GAA, and maybe you're not that particularly interested in coaching and you want to do something else, becoming a referee, it is a good option, and you never know where it's going to take you, and you get to be part of these occasions. I know in Mayo, I can't speak for other counties, I'm sure it's the same, but I know in Mayo there's a great support group of referees, and that kind of way. So.
And Podge, what's the most rewarding part for you of being involved in the GAA?
Probably the friends you make over the course of it. Is something you'd always go back to, whether it's in school, in your parish, or if you're fortunate enough to play for your county at any level. It's the people you meet, they're all kind of a similar interest to yourself, really. If they're playing the sport, and you start off with something in common. And I've just made great friends through GAA, and it's something that no matter what happens, whether you win or you lose, or you win medals or you don't win medals, or you get on the team or you don't get on the team, that it's the friendships you make through it that, like, is definitely the thing that is the best part of it for me.
Well, we'll move on to the quick fire round. So our first question is, what is your match day essential? Podge, I'll go to you first.
Match day essential. When I was minor, I used to wear the same jocks for every game, but yeah, that stopped after minor.
Cormac?
I religiously, I always have to actually put my left sock has to go on first, and then my right. But then I always have to put my right boot on first. It sounds odd and it's crazy, but I have to do it. I have to do it that way.
Very interesting. Cueva, can you beat that?
Definitely not. My God Almighty, no, I don't. And the same, and I don't put on my left foot ahead or right foot. No, just me and Peter. We have to shake hands after we leave the girls, let them chat to each other. We've done it from the very first day, and we forgot about it once or twice. And there's catastrophic things have happened, like ambulances called and big shock buses anytime we haven't. So we've got awful superstitious about shaking hands. But other than that, no, nothing on that. I suppose that's enough.
And what would be your go-to pre-match song? Cormac, I'll go to you first.
My go-to pre-match song, it'd probably be Nelly, Just a Dream. Do you know that song?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sing it, so I'm not gonna sing it now. But probably There's nothing even of any of my own players to tell you when we're going to a game. I nearly have to have the sing song in the car. It must be first annoying, but anything cheesy kind of that way.
And Podge, what about you?
I don't really have one in particular. Probably Imagine Dragons, Whatever It Takes, or something like that.
And Cueva?
Yeah, mine's Imagine Dragons too. It was the Shane O'Neill's year. It's Time became our song, and now although we might change, it's still the song I need to listen to before or on the road to most trainings and matches. It just always kind of sparks something about the way we're doing it.
And what's your favourite GA ground, Cueva?
Favourite GA ground? Mine would be Jerry Brown Park in Newry. It's part of the Newry Metro Club, which is a small wee club, and it's our club, my family. It's just where all the early memories were made. You can't beat that. And then probably Newcastle County Down would come a close second. That's where the county matches were played when I was younger. And that's where I loved going to on a Sunday and watching the Down team.
Very good. Cormac, what would your answer be?
First and foremost, it'll have to be our own club ground. I don't know. There's just something about when you pull into your own club ground. I think it'd be the same for any player. I only live about 30 seconds away from it, and some days you just go in and you think of the memories and blood, sweat, and tears and that kind of way too. Probably the best surface. My favorite place to referee in the county would be probably our neighbour and rivals, Balna Stephenites. It's probably one of the best surfaces, probably in Connacht, to referee on.
And Podge, what about you?
Probably Cusack Park in Ennis, the kind of Clare County grounds. We play a lot of our club games there, and it's just one I'm very used to and enjoy playing in.
Very good. And what would be your happiest sporting memory? Podge, I'll come to you first.
Probably that 2009 winning the club hurling for the first time in Cratloe, or else when I was minor, we won Clare we won the Munster final, and walking out of Thurles with the trophy is something I'll never forget as well. So either of those.
Very good. And Cormac?
Probably our club minor. We won the county championship 4 years ago now, and we didn't know at the time they started a Connacht competition, and we actually went on and we won the provincial minor that year. Probably that would be mine.
And Cueva?
Probably it was an All Ireland club semi final. We played Parnells of London, and we were written off, and we were total underdogs, and we just had to keep it respectable. And we obviously ended up winning, and meeting with my sister on the field and my family after it. It's up there, and it's one of the memories that'll stand out forever.
And who would be your childhood hero? I'll come to you, Cueva.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mickey Linden of Down. That is one that I think everybody that was alive in the 90s and supporting Down absolutely adored. And then outside of that, probably Michaela Downey for Down. She was part of Reape Bosco when I played for them, and she was always a kind of hero there. So either of them two down legends, I suppose.
And Podge?
Probably Peter Canavan. As a footballer, he's so consistent, and I just liked his style of play. And then in the hurling, James O'Connor, probably a bit older, but equally as good.
Cormac?
I'd probably say Keith Higgins. Keith Higgins is as a defender for Mayo, one of probably the greatest defenders that's ever probably played. Just his pace and the way he conducts himself on a field, and then kind of just from a referee's point of view, I think I'd always say Nigel Owens, straight out.
And our final question, what is your biggest pet peeve? Cormac, I'll go to you first.
Pet peeve, probably on the way to a match and the middle of a song, and who's ever sitting in the front seat turns off the radio, I nearly have to pull over and throw them out of the car. I just have to be in nearly a state of saying it. Going to games like that, it kills me absolutely. And this one guy in particular, it just kills me. It kills me.
And Podge, what about you?
In general, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of people talking into cameras. This kind of selfie video thing. It's like when people videoing themselves and put up a story. That's probably a pet peeve of mine.
Very good. And Cueva, what about you?
I'm thrown now by Podge's Jan. I could probably list quite a few of Jan's life pet peeves related to football. I thought a wee bit more. Matches called off is such a peeve. Like, how can people not let you know earlier and you could arrange something? I hate that. Hate wasted time, like, or something been called off so late. But I could, if I started now, I wouldn't stop to tomorrow on pet peeves of social media use and Instagram and talking to the camera. It would go on and on. All that with lockdown, but no, probably matches called off. I hate that. Like, I hate it's been so late and how nothing else can be organised or arranged at that stage, and you don't even have a ground to go to, so just kind of go home. I hate that wasted time. Like.
Well, Podge, Cueva and Cormac, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure having you on and listening to your experiences with volunteering within the GA, the LGBT in Caoibhe. I really learned a lot about the different ways people can get involved. I loved hearing all the memories you were discussing. Stay tuned for our next week's episode where we catch up with former Kerry captain and All-Ireland winner with both his club and county, Fionn Fitzgerald. Sloan agus gur míle maith agat.